Well, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone here at Mitchell Hall on the beautiful campus of the University of Delaware, and to all of you watching online. I'm Pat Harker, president of the university, and I'm an engineer. It is absolutely fantastic to kick off Engineers Week 2014 with all of you. I want to thank Discover E for organizing eWeek, for engaging the public in the work and in the world of engineers, and in helping to build a dynamic core of engineers on the front lines of solving our biggest global problems. I thank our 2014 co-chairs, IEEE-USA and DuPont. I'd call DuPont a partner, but actually, they're more like family. We wouldn't be the institution we are today without DuPont. They've shaped our campus and strengthened our programs. In fact, it was DuPont that loaned us the legendary Alan Colburn to elevate our acclaimed chemical engineering program 75 years ago. UD has a long and strong tradition of engineering education. We've been at it since the early 19th century. And when we became one of the nation's first land-grant institutions, it solidified our commitment to the discipline as the way to achieve practical solutions to persistent problems, to help the public at large, and to serve the common good. My path to engineering began by watching my father, a construction worker. It became a fascination, seeing things take shape and grow. It still is. I've gone from building physical structures to building software to building organizations. And I see in my engineering colleagues that same energy, that same eagerness to build, to fix, to transform. And that's why I think engineering is much more than a skill set. It's a state of mind. And we do well to cultivate in all students the attributes that tend to describe engineers: intellectual agility and inventiveness, flexibility, a penchant for problem solving. We need to grow and diversify our pipeline of engineers so that everyone with a stake in our shared challenges has a stake in their solutions. We need to work with our colleagues in the natural sciences, social sciences, humanities, education, business, and the arts to look at issues holistically and to address them collaboratively. And again, this involves building bridges to the people and disciplines and organizations that will partner with us in creating the future we want. Discover E and eWeek are building these bridges, and all of us at UD are thrilled to help. And I'm personally thrilled to have so many of our incredible UD students and faculty and staff with us today to begin these conversations. Welcome. Now, I'm not the only engineer here. In fact, the stage is full of them, including the person I'll turn this webcast over to now. University of Delaware Provost Domenico Grasso is an environmental engineer and a founder of the first ever engineering program at a women's liberal arts college. He'll lead our panel discussion today. Domenico?
Thank you, President. Thank you, President Harker. Good afternoon and welcome to the University of Delaware and to the 2014 Engineers Week webcast kickoff. This year's eWeek theme, Let's Make a Difference, is consonant with the philosophy here at the University of Delaware, Dare to be First. After all, that's what engineers do. They design new products, new processes, new systems, and go where no one has gone before. For those of you in our virtual audience, I would ask you to please join our conversation at hashtag eWeek 2014. Joining me this afternoon on our panel are Dr. Tunde Ogunnaike, member of the National Academy of Engineering, Dean of the College of Engineering, and the William Friend Chaired Professor of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering here at UD. To his left, Karen Fletcher, DuPont Chief Engineer and Vice President for Engineering, and one of our accomplished Blue Hen alumna with 2 engineering degrees from the University of Delaware. To her left, Dr. Gary Blank, IEEE-USA President-elect. And then we have Elizabeth Mahoney, UD doctoral student in chemical and biomolecular engineering. and to her left, Kelsey McWilliams, environmental engineering undergraduate student here at the University of Delaware. President Harker mentioned that we have an engineering state of mind. What does it mean, do you think, to think like an engineer?
I think the engineering mindset is one that looks at life this way. With the right set of tools, with the right group, there is not a single problem that cannot be solved. Engineers are problem solvers. We formulate the problem, and we find the right tools. We bring the tools of science and other tools to bear on these problems. Where the tools don't exist, we make them up. We design things, and we try to make sure that things work the way they're supposed to work. 21st century problems don't come with disciplinary labels, and therefore you are highly unlikely to see things that are now based on this discipline as opposed to the other discipline, as opposed to this other discipline, but you bring things together as you see fit. And this is one of the things we're trying to do at the University of Delaware in training our students, making sure that they understand as we try to solve these problems, we look at not only the technical viability, but we look at the financial viability as well as the social acceptability of these problems.
Gary, would you like to add something from the professional practice perspective?
Yes, I would. I'm very honored to be a part of this fantastic profession. It makes life very exciting for being an engineer, and I think it's something that young people should really look into, because to me it opens so many new avenues, so many unusual things, and curiosity, lots of curiosity. And I think that I should share with you the fact that many engineers today who are successful share with me a way of thinking. And the way of thinking can best be summarized by this. They do not think of things in terms of the way most logical, emotional people may think of it. They think of it more along the lines of, how do I get to the answer right away? How do I find a solution? And so there are several cases where I've had the pleasure of working with students and with people in industry who you can spot that in their conversation, their only real focus is how to get to the answer right away and to do it in a very professional and cost-effective way.
Thank you. We often hear of engineers as problem solvers. Could you talk a little bit about the role of engineers in the problem definition part of the process?
Well, it's essential for us to understand that the problems we're talking about don't come in neatly packaged form in which you can just reach into your textbook and take out the Navier-Stokes equation and that's the solution. A good example is if we want to provide a water supply system for a village in Cameroon, for example, and the water has to come out ready to drink. That's the problem. Now, we have to translate this into the civil engineering part, translate it into the mechanical engineering part, and oh, by the way, if there is no power in this remote village, then how do we bring power to turn the pump on? We translate that to either a materials science problem and an electrical engineering problem, and then synthesize all of that together. And even then, we're not done. It's in a remote village. We have to think in terms of how the people in the village are going to accept this. So we have to put all of these things together, and it is not just that somebody tosses the problem over the fence to us. We need to get involved at the initial stages with how to define the problem themselves. Take something that is amorphous, put it in a form in which the solution can in fact be found.
Thank you. The National Academy of Engineering has identified many of the grand challenges that we as a society are going to face. Other organizations have also identified grand challenges, NIH, Department of Education, the United Nations. There is no doubt that the solutions to these grand challenges are going to be heavily laden with technology. but the solutions will also go beyond technology. Could we talk just for a little bit here about the role of engineers in these holistic solutions that we as a society are going to have to face?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Maybe to make it a little bit closer to home for DuPont, some of the grand challenges that we're stepping up to are, for example, feeding the world. And we're working with farmers to make their fields more productive or to grow crops on marginal acres. We're working with companies to put more nutritious ingredients into food or make healthier foods. We're helping deal with malnutrition in remote parts of the world by introducing soy proteins into diets. In the area of energy, we're working on alternative energy, whether it's solar power or biofuels. We're working to create materials that are less dependent on fossil fuels and based more on renewable feedstock. In the area of protection, we're working with advanced materials to improve and provide additional protection for people or important things. All of these are very complicated problems, and we find increasingly that engineers are working across disciplines. They're working collaboratively with one another, with other scientists. They're working sometimes with local governments to deliver the solution. They're working collaboratively with customers, with other third parties. And so I see that engineers, to build on Tunde's point, are working across boundaries on very complex problems and together finding the best solution for the challenge.
Well, Karen, let me follow up with that. What are the skill sets that you think engineers are going to need to be successful in this global economy regarding global solutions in a globally competitive marketplace?
Yeah, I think it's a given that a student comes out with an engineering degree and they're technically capable and competent. But what I see are we're looking for additional softer skills to make them really successful. And maybe first and foremost is around communication. So you might have the answer or have a solution, but you need to convey it and communicate it to somebody who understands the value that it provides. In some ways, you have to make the case. You have to convince that the government agency or the local population to work with you to put this solution into practical terms and into reality. So communication and the ability to represent your idea and also represent yourself, very, very important. I think also the ability to collaborate, but also to be able to connect your role into the bigger picture and understand how what you're doing contributes ultimately to the solution. Teamwork, these are the softer skills that are necessary in conjunction with the engineering background to really be successful.
Thank you. So if you walk into a doctor's office and you ask your physician why she may have gone into medicine, you rarely hear, "I liked biology." But in high schools, you hear guidance counselors say all the time, "Oh, you like math and science, you should go into engineering." Well, if you like math and science, you could always go into math and science. Those are very respectable fields to go into. Engineering is a little bit different than just math and science. Could we talk about what is different about engineering that goes beyond just math and science?
Well, as an undergraduate, like you said, I was not pushed, but kind of led to engineering because I liked math and science. And all my high school teachers were like, you should definitely do the engineering side of things. But once I started researching and kind of looking into engineering, I was really attracted to the many applications that engineering have if you graduate with an engineering degree, you can do a lot of different things. And I was really attracted to the options that kind of helped people. And so I wanted to use not only my love of math and science, but also my want to help others with my engineering degree.
And my story is very similar to Kelsey's, where I was interested because of the math and science, but I was really captivated by the wide range of problems that you can solve. And then when I went to college, I had the privilege of having several female professors as mentors and doing undergraduate research for them and seeing how deep you can get into problems with research and kind of learning how to define your own problems and then learning how to solve them is really what got me into doing PhD research.
And if I can build on that, I'm going to date myself a little bit, but I was in high school in the 70s, and we were facing an oil embargo, and there were long lines at the gas pumps, and there was a lot of public dialogue generated around alternative energy and energy conservation. And I was very affected by this, and like you, I wanted to be a part of helping people or solving that problem. And I also had the good fortune of meeting Dr. Arthur Metzner, who was the chair of the Chemie department here at Delaware. So he convinced me very quickly to do that and to do it here. But I think that as engineers, it's important that we connect helping people. It's much beyond you're good in math or science, but it's around helping people and contributing to the greater good and being a part of the solution process. That's what engineers are all about, and that's the dialogue, I think, that gets kids more excited about pursuing the engineering field.
I'd like to add an example to that, which I think underscores what you're saying. I have a very strong desire to communicate with people around me and to have them do the same. And I'm learning that maybe we engineers have a different language from the rest of the world. And we have to try to meet the rest of the world, because there are more of them than there are of us. And so in trying to meet with them, I find myself in a rather interesting situation. My wife would say to me, there's 2 feet of snow in the driveway. And I would smile and say, oh, good. And that's the end of that conversation. But then she may say to me, there are 2 feet of snow in the driveway, and I need to get the car out, and there's a problem getting the car past this. She said the word problem. As soon as I heard the word problem, my ears came alive. I was out there within 30 seconds with a shovel in my hand, because I am going to solve the problem. I am a problem solver. And so the communication works both ways. She didn't say to me at first that she's got a problem. She said the snow had fallen. Well, that's not important. But the fact is, she couldn't get out of the driveway, and so it was my job to provide a help. So engineers want to have a challenge. Give them a problem, talk in their language, they'll respond very well. This has saved a lot of marriages, by the way.
So studying engineering saves marriages. Is that another benefit of... And I myself am married to an engineer, so we have a perfect marriage. So let's talk just for a moment, because in a few months we will be celebrating Engineers Week. Can we talk a little bit about what volunteer programs your particular institutions have with meaningful outcomes, and how we can all engage in eWeek 2014?
Maybe I'll start with that. So DuPont and IEEE are co-sponsoring National Engineers Week. At DuPont, there's a lot going on around volunteerism. And first and foremost, I think engineers can be role models and get engaged in the community. And some of the things that are going on, we're very active, for example, with robotics and encouraging high school kids to participate in competitions and build robots. And it's part of a national organization that just encourages that interest in building something. And so we're active supporters of that program. We also do Explore Engineering, where we'll bring kids in from high school and even middle school to come in and spend a day with DuPont, and we'll put little breakout groups together where they can build something or solve a problem or compete with a race car that's solar powered or what have you. And it's fun and it's hands-on, and it's not about math and science. It's about having fun, creating and solving problems. We also have volunteers active in elementary school and in Lego competitions. And again, just to encourage that love for solving a puzzle or building something. And it's through these activities that DuPont is active as a company, but mostly through encouraging that personal touch and that personal example of what engineers are all about.
The IEEE is very eager and very excited about what we're about to experience. There are so many things happening at the same time. We would like to start from today, going forward, and building a lot of excitement in the E-Week that's upcoming in 2014. We want to start what we have right now. Don't forget the date is February 16th to February 22nd, 2014. That's good to know. And also, we'd like to take advantage of the timing to introduce more girls and more women to the field of engineering. They are very competent, they're very capable, they have all the qualifications. It's just over a matter of society over the last few years, we have not been encouraging as many of them as we'd like to, and I'd like to see much more representation of women in the engineering field, and this is something we hope to accomplish with Engineering Day. We're having some volunteer kits that are going to be available. IEEE-USA has been involved in representing IEEE in many of our activities for the E-Week that's coming. We're doing things with a new website that's called APP, all one word. E, there's an E in the end. Let me start over. APPEFEAT, AppFeet. And this will be designed to provide not only a launching point for so many other programs, but also to be a source for people who need help in disaster. It's going to be primarily there for humanitarian purposes, and if people are encountering problems like they have in the Philippines or disasters in Haiti and other parts of the world, this website will make it possible for people to find help and find sources of help for many situations. So this is something we're really emphasizing in the weeks to come, and we plan to look at IEEE as meaning inspiration, excitement, energy, and enthusiasm.
Thank you. You mentioned that women are somewhat, or actually significantly underrepresented in the engineering profession, and we're coming near the end of our broadcast, but I would like to ask our two female engineering students why they chose engineering and why they think that other women are not choosing engineering.
Well, as I said before, I really chose engineering because of its applications to help others. And in my opinion, there's not enough girls that see engineering and those applications. They really see, oh, you're an engineer, do you build stuff? Like, is that all you do? And I think if there was more awareness of all the applications that engineering has, especially with helping people, you'd see a lot more girls in the field of engineering.
I definitely agree with that. And as I said earlier, I think it's really important that women who already are engineers to get into a position of mentorship so that we can just help recruit more women, because I think they're maybe more likely to listen to women who are already in the field.
So do you think then it's a matter of contextualization that we are not making the case for the social relevance of engineering as strongly as we should to attract more women? Is that your sense?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much it. Because even if you probably ask undergraduates here at UD what's an engineer, they'd say they build something.
They build something.
Even like some, maybe a little more specific than that.
Or they're good at math and science.
And they're good at math and science.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. On behalf of the University of Delaware, I would like to thank our special guests from DuPont and IEEE, and also our guests from the University of Delaware. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, please use hashtag eWeek 2014. There's so much we can say, and even more that we can do. Engaging and educating the next generation of engineers isn't just an imperative for our profession, but for our world. We cannot accept a marginal role in so important an endeavor. Thank you.